Hi everyone. I do hope you're coping in these extraordinary times. As many of you already know, we've had to fundamentally change the way in which the practice works. As from Tuesday of last week, we have cancelled all routine work and are providing emergency cover only. This does not mean that your horse should suffer any compromise to their welfare. We are still available for telephone, Zoom or FaceTime consultations for even the most minor of concerns. I'd also like to reassure you that in the event of your horse developing an urgent problem, we can still attend in the usual way, as we would on a weekend or bank holiday. We will of course be observing social distancing measures, wearing masks and gloves and taking every precaution not to spread coronavirus. Essentially, we'll be assuming that everyone, including ourselves, is an asymptomatic coronavirus shedder and acting accordingly. It has been made clear by the government that vaccinating horses is not perceived to be an essential activity at this time, and I know many of you will be worried that this will have a real impact on your horse's immunity to infection, most especially with regard to equine influenza. I'd like to allay those fears for a number of reasons. Firstly, the natural immunity acquired during last year's extensive outbreak that was almost certainly more extensive than was officially recorded. Secondly, the enhanced vaccination coverage that resulted as a consequence of that outbreak. Thirdly, the more frequent vaccinations due to the shortening of the recommended booster interval since the outbreak. And finally, the current enforced cessation of equine movements and gatherings and presumably imports from our neighbouring countries will hopefully have also drastically reduced the risk of equine influenza transmission. We have, however, recently been instructed by the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons, our governing body, that it's acceptable to give a second vaccine in a starter course that has already begun. But if this does apply to you, I would strongly recommend that we try and shift the second vaccine towards the end of the specified time period. Remember, you've got between 21 and 92 days for that second jab, and anyone struggling with the maths on that one, give us a ring because I've got a gizmo to help me on the phone. Of course, the whole country is suffering a severe economic downturn due to the effects of the current restrictions, and we are no different. The Priors Farm team is temporarily reduced to Duncan, Sasha and myself, with everyone else entering into the government furlough scheme. From this perspective, we have had to take the difficult decision to change our terms of business, which means that we can no longer offer credit for goods and services. In effect, for the foreseeable future, any drugs or consultations must be billed and paid for at the time, and I'm very aware that this is in stark contrast to how the practice has previously operated. However, given the dramatic curtailment in how we can function, it is the only way in which we can stay afloat. And finally, from all of us at Priors Farm, do please look after yourselves. Do observe the social distancing measures and maintain the lockdown to the best of your ability. We as horse owners know from our own experience of herpes, influenza virus and strangles just how effective this can be in altering the course of an outbreak. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in better circumstances.